What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk Live from St. Vincent College here at Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp. I'm Noah Schreckbein, flying solo today. Make sure to check us out on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast and find all my work, especially from the last couple of days at si.com/NFL/Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers had themselves, I don't know, pretty average Saturday. To be very honest with you, the most boring practice the Steelers have had to date, but there's still a lot to dive into. There's some new sleepers rising, some injuries that I think we need to start being a little bit more concerned about. Broderick Jones, Troy Fautanu, Mason McCormick, and some improvements that we saw not just today, but last night from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and some big names that, well, everybody has their eyes on. Shout out to our members and shout out to our super chatters. Can't thank you guys enough for everything you do for us. Let's talk about injuries to start. Calvin Austin joins a long list of what we believe is veteran day offs with 90, 97, Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Joey Porter Jr., Jonnu Smith. The list goes on and on and on of players who are not on the field. We'll find out more about them. Mike Tomlin didn't have much to say. What he did have to say was the big two injuries that we do have to focus on with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that is Calvin Anderson and Corey Trice. Those two went down yesterday. Corey with the hamstring, Calvin with what they're classifying as a soft tissue injury. And Mike Tomlin said today that both should be considered more than day-to-day. That's terrible news for two different reasons. For Corey Trice, it is just another hiccup in what has been a very rocky road for the third-year corner. He came in here, he looked pretty solid, and then he tears his ACL in his opening training camp. Then the next year he comes in, he looks even better, suffers a hamstring injury early in the season after being the number 3 corner and really earning his place on this defense, and misses a good chunk of time during the season, comes back to a much lesser role. This year, he's coming into it. The Steelers already went out there and replaced him and said Brandon Echols will be the guy that works behind Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., and Jalen Ramsey. Beanie Bishop's competing for a job, and James Pierre's also competing for a job, so nothing's guaranteed to Corey Trice. Now he comes out here and suffers another hamstring injury, is going to miss time, and you're starting to wonder where he's going and where the career is going to take him. Corey Trice has so much potential, but he can't stay on the field. It's always been his biggest vice. And where we sit today, nothing is changing. The Pittsburgh Steelers corner is still a guy who looks better and better every season, but the best ability is availability, and he has awful availability throughout the early portions of his NFL career. That's not what you're looking for if you're the Steelers or if you're Corey Trice, but at some point, Pittsburgh's got to look at it and say, this guy's not reliable enough, and maybe it's time to move on. And I'm not saying that we're close to that, but I think we are entering that territory where that conversation will start to be had in the Steelers front office. As for Calvin Anderson, I mean, it's a move that Calvin Anderson has not looked good, okay, throughout all of training camp. But Broderick Jones has looked somehow worse. Dylan Cook might be the best left tackle that the Pittsburgh Steelers have right now, which is wild to say. And Calvin Anderson being hurt, I mean, it opens the door for Dylan Cook to get more reps and to continue to prove himself, but it also opens the door for the Steelers to be very limited at left tackle. And I don't know where they go from here. I think that they would add somebody, but I'm not totally sold on that. Darnell Washington said today and kind of made it sound as if maybe, just maybe, he's already had a conversation or two about moving to tackle from tight end. And right now he's playing tight end, but maybe that could happen down the road if a guy like Broderick doesn't work out, if Calvin Anderson and Spencer or Dylan Cook don't work out and the Pittsburgh Steelers need to turn to somebody else. Maybe Darnell is that guy. It kind of feels like maybe somebody in Pittsburgh's had that conversation, but without Calvin Anderson on the field, the Pittsburgh Steelers are very limited at tackle. We are going to get all of Dylan Cook, and we are going to see what they can do. They moved Spencer Anderson to the tackle position today to work with the backups. And I honestly thought he looked pretty okay. I thought for a moment he had a couple of blocks where you're going, this is the best left tackle play the Pittsburgh Steelers have had all of training camp. Will it continue? I don't know. We'll find out. But for right now, definitely a momentum swing and an injury that you want to keep your eyes on moving forward. As we keep it trucking, I mean, the biggest standouts of today are two guys that nobody really cares about, but two guys that we have to start talking about. James Pierre had multiple interceptions and made Mason Rudolph look terrible today. Mason Rudolph was the one. He was the top quarterback with Aaron Rodgers on the sideline. And let me tell you, he did not look good. Why? A lot to do with James Pierre, who was able to shut down a number of guys. This comes after a pick last night in a 2-minute drill where the offense looks very good. Should have scored if Lance McCutcheon could look at the ball instead of having it hit off his helmet. But instead, Mason throws it to the end zone, and James Pierre comes up with it to end the 2-minute drill, comes back today and has another strong day. I'm kind of at the point where I'm taking a bold guess that James Pierre is going to be on the 53-man roster. He remains the starting gunner for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I know nobody cares about a sixth corner, but when your sixth corner is making noise, you have to talk about him a little bit, and that's where James Pierre is with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is right now this guy is making plays, and he's out here and he's doing things that you did not expect him to be doing. And while I ruled him out, wrote him off right from the jump, right now James Pierre does not look too bad in this defense, and today had a phenomenal day. The next name is a name that there's a deeper conversation around, and that's Scotty Miller, because Scotty Miller looks pretty good. He looks like the third best wide receiver on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster. He looks better than Roman Wilson by a long shot, looks better than Roman Wilson. He looks better than Robert Woods. He's fast. He's explosive. He's beating the starting defense. He's beating the backup defense. He's catching passes from everybody. I don't know what more the Pittsburgh Steelers need to see out of this guy. And no, do I think that Scotty Miller is a starting wide receiver in the NFL? No chance. But do I think that right now he is impressing more than any other wide receiver in Pittsburgh outside of DK Metcalf? Yeah, very much so. Very much so. He got a pass today, turning the corner. I believe it was Darius Slay chasing him, caught it, hit the sideline, took off, outran Juan Thornhill and Chuck Clark, I believe, and Darius Slay for a touchdown. It was a massive play. Would have scored in real life no matter what. And I think it sparks a conversation. I think, to me, people will talk Terry McLaurin. People will talk where the Pittsburgh Steelers will go and who they're looking at and so on and so forth. I look at it very simply like right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers do not have a wide receiver 3, should not put Roman Wilson in that position unless he earns it. And right now he has not earned it. And Scotty Miller somehow looks like that guy. I don't think Scotty Miller is the dude that you want out there on Sundays, but he sure looks like it more than the guys that the Pittsburgh Steelers want to have out there on Sundays. What does that mean? I think it's very clear that it means the Pittsburgh Steelers are not performing at the wide receiver position the way that they need to, the way that they should be. I think that it sparks a big conversation about if Roman Wilson is a guy that you could rely on or should be on the field this season in any capacity for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just look at Scotty Miller right now as a benchmark to say you have to be able to be better than this guy. And right now, the two wide receivers that the Pittsburgh Steelers want ahead of him in Roman Wilson and Robert Woods, they don't look better than him at all. And I mean, that's concerning. That's definitely concerning for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think if you're talking Terry McLaurin and that conversation, and if the Steelers are checking in and negotiating a deal or whatever, I truly think that Scotty Miller being the third best wide receiver in Pittsburgh right now is basis enough to say, toss the names that aren't playing as well as him in there and say, maybe this is trade bait. Maybe we could use you to target others. Maybe we can toss a Roman Wilson into a trade package for a Terry McLaurin and see if that works and test the waters and just see what you get. I truly, truly think we're at that part, but I think it's brutal to have him. And don't get me wrong, this is nothing against Scotty Miller. This dude is having a great day, a great camp here in Latrobe. Is he going to make the roster? I have a hard time keeping him off it right now. I think more so you're looking at it going, the Steelers have to add somebody, because if they don't, their third best wide receiver is not better than their sixth best wide receiver, or what they thought would have been their sixth best wide receiver. And that's brutal. That is very, very brutal, my friends. And the Pittsburgh Steelers need to address it. The other name that I want to talk about here is Kaleb Johnson. Kaleb took a significant step forward yesterday. Kaleb looks really good, okay? He looks explosive. He doesn't look nearly as good in padded practices as he does in non-padded practices, but I'm having a hard time guessing if that's, or understanding if that is more Kaleb Johnson just having a bad offensive line in front of him, Kaleb Johnson not being able to hit the holes as much as, he needs to hit the holes, or if it's the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers front seven is just that good and Kaleb Johnson is fighting a losing battle right from the start. And I'm hoping it's the third one. I truly am. But that's not what I'm talking about here. Let's take you to backs on backers yesterday, and Kaleb Johnson lining up against Malik Harrison, who 48 hours earlier ate this dude's lunch. It was ridiculous. It was 3 times back to back to back. Kaleb got smoked. It wasn't even close. So much so that I asked Malik Harrison, like, hey, what did you take away from that? How can you help Kaleb Johnson? And he said he's so strong. His footwork and his hand placement just needs to improve, and I'm going to help him do that. Well, it took 2 days, and Kaleb Johnson looks way better. He held his own against Malik Harrison. I don't want to say he won the rep, but he held his own against Malik Harrison. And then bigger than that, I mean, he beat Mark Robinson twice. That's impressive, to beat Mark Robinson twice. The king of backs on backers, for those of you who do not know, the one guy that you could count on to always win those reps. That is who Mark Robinson is. Kaleb beat him twice, and I think that's very, very impressive. Like, very, very impressive. He's got a long way to go in the pass blocking and the pass catching. Like, my thing with Kaleb is he just doesn't look comfortable at either. You could tell that at Iowa, he was just running the football. He was a running the rock kind of guy. That's great, but you need to do way more in the NFL. Now, don't get me wrong. Nobody looks great in the backs on backers right now. Even Jaylen Warren doesn't look great in the backs on backers right now. And I was hoping to see more from him. I was hoping he would be the example so that Kaleb could grow behind him. Instead, that's not the case. But you got to be able to do both. He's got a long way to go, but you are seeing that improvement. And I think that improvement is pretty significant for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and a guy that I think people have high hopes for. Obviously have high hopes for. I have high hopes for, but he's got to be able to improve here and able to, or to be on the field more than what we would like to see him be on the field. Going through my notes here, a lot of Rock Taylor winning a couple of slants and a catch. He made a play in one-on-ones today where Zach Azani came running onto the field. He went to the outside, came to the inside, beat, I don't even remember who was on him, caught the football. Zach Azani comes running out of the field and hugs him. That's how fired up he was about that drill. Beanie Bishop has had a couple of good reps today. Really looked fired up today. Talked a lot of smack, which is great, but made a couple of good plays in one-on-ones and so on and so forth that you thought was pretty impressive. It was an all-around pretty slow day for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not a ton going on. Shout out to Chris Halleck here, who just told me as I walked up, hey, I got something that you're going to want to know here in a couple of minutes. Well, now we know that the Pittsburgh Steelers have reached out to the Washington Commanders, which is pretty big. Definitely pretty big. And we'll dive into it here in a second. But it was a slow day for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not a lot going on. A lot of just rest days. A lot of, it's been a long camp. It's been very hot. Let's continue to kind of slow it down. And that's where the Pittsburgh Steelers are with that said, I don't want to waste everybody's time. It's a Saturday afternoon. I'm excited to be here. Let's dive into some questions. Shout out to our super chatters. Shout out to our members. We'll be right back.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes black and gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
Alrighty. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. Toss your questions in the chat. I'll get to as many of them as I can before I head out of here. Let's start with good old Chris Halleck, which I cannot wait to tell him how we spelt his name here. Shout out. Terry McLaurin, it's zero surprise that the Pittsburgh Steelers reached out to him. Like, no surprise. You don't even have to report that, if we're going to be honest. Like, the Pittsburgh Steelers reaching out to the Washington Commanders about a wide receiver when they very clearly need a wide receiver, not shocking news whatsoever. Not even a little bit. You have to call. You have to make those phone calls. The Pittsburgh Steelers offense does not look very good at training camp. They've had one very impressive day. Besides that, they haven't had any impressive days. And they've looked really atrocious at any moment for the rest of training camp of 9 days. One of those days, they have looked good. You have to call about Terry McLaurin. You have to get some sort of insight on if you can afford him and what he's looking for and so on and so forth. Those conversations are not negotiations. It is simply just, hey, we're going to call and see what's going on and see what we can do and what you're looking for in return. And if that matches, we'll have more conversation. If it doesn't, the conversation will end. And I think that's what happened. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers made a phone call, found out that Terry McLaurin wants to be paid like a true number one wide receiver, that if he's going to be dealt, is going to be dealt like a true number one wide receiver, which means a lot of money. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are very okay with not making either of those moves. Can things change? Definitely. Do I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have interest in adding another wide receiver? Yes, I do. Do I think it's going to be Terry McLaurin? Not right now, but I'm not going to say 100% no. But it does not surprise me that the Pittsburgh Steelers have called the Washington Commanders about Terry McLaurin. Now it's just a matter of if anything changes to make it suitable for them to actually have negotiations. If we added Terry, would we give him a 2-year deal? I would guess he wants a 3-year deal. He's 29 years old. I would imagine maybe he wants a 2-year deal to pick up one more before the end of his career so he could get one more big deal. If that's the case, it works out way better in the Pittsburgh Steelers' favor. Sign him to a 2-year contract. It works out just fine. I think if he's open to a 2-year deal, that's great. That's what you're looking for. Pay him $35 million. And again, I don't expect this to happen, but pay him $35 million for 2 years and feel really good about where you are when he leaves. And I feel like that would work out in the Steelers' favor. It would have to come down to budgeting. It'd have to be like a full conversation with Omar Khan about where they stand and how they can make it work and who they're not going to bring back. But the Steelers would have those conversations. But a 2-year deal works way better than a 3 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Madden Salad, how did Will look? I thought he looked good. I thought he looked good yesterday. Today, not as good. Definitely not. Through, I think, 2 interceptions. Everybody was throwing interceptions today. It wasn't like anything out of the ordinary. But I didn't think Will stood out too much. Yesterday, he looked pretty good. He had another day that's back-to-back pretty good days. And Friday Night Lights threw a really nice pass. Kind of up the seam. It was just outside of the seam to Lance McCutcheon in team drills. That was beautiful. That was really all we saw of him. But he didn't have the best day today. Yesterday, the last 2 days, he's been very impressive. And I think it's been a talking point how impressive he actually has looked. David Noah, how much cap space do we have, and what would you like to see the Steelers do with it, tackle or wide receiver? I believe the Steelers have roughly $23 million in cap space. I'm not 100% on that after the Chuck Clark deal, but I think it's just about $23 million. I would love to see them sign both of these. I think you could do both with ease if you're not going to get somebody big and splashy at wide receiver. For tackle, you're going to spend, $4 million, something like that in that ballpark, maybe less, most likely significantly less. Wide receiver, you're probably going to have to spend a good chunk of money if you're going to get somebody good. I think the Steelers could do it. I would like to see them do it. To me, that is where you need to go here is you have to give something up to fix and to kind of fill your final two holes with this team. You added Chuck Clark. You said safety is a priority. We got to go add to it. And you did. You have to go do the same thing at wide receiver and tackle. I don't know if they're going to, but it is there. David, once again, who's better cornerback room, the Ravens or the Steelers? The Steelers have the best cornerback room in the NFL. There's no questions to it. There's just not. Jalen Ramsey looks I don't know why there was a narrative of Jalen Ramsey is not as good of a football player anymore, but that narrative is wild because he looks crazy. He looks like the second best player on the Pittsburgh Steelers team overall. And to be honest with you, he's really close. Like TJ doesn't do much during training camp, but I am very excited to see who looks better during the regular season because they look crazy good. Jalen looks nuts. Darius Slay looks great. Joey Porter Jr. looks so good. And the rest of that secondary just fits in so naturally. So my answer would be the Steelers. I'm sure people in Baltimore would say Baltimore, but my answer would be the Steelers. It's just hard not to give it to them. Lindsay, was not paying Najee a mistake? No, gosh, no. I mean, right now he's not even playing because of his eye injury with the fireworks. Not even close. Drafting Najee Harris was a mistake. Like that was the mistake the Pittsburgh Steelers made, was drafting Najee Harris, was wasting a first-round pick on a running back that does not have first-round pick potential and never has and probably never will. Like he's not going to start in the NFL this season. He's going to be a backup to Marion Hampton. That's what's going to happen. No, gosh, no. Even if Jalen and Kaleb don't turn into superstars, signing Najee Harris would have been the wrong answer. The Steelers, they made a mistake drafting a running back in the first round who never met first round potential. That's where they go wrong. Nothing else after that they went wrong doing. That's truly how I feel. Tim Hopper. Sup, Noah? With Parsons seeking a release, if you were the GM and you could say trade Highsmith and 2 second-round picks, and maybe a first-round pick this draft, one in the next for him, got it. But you have to pay him $42 million. Would you? So you're sending Alex Highsmith, 2 second-round picks, and a second-round pick next year for Micah Parsons. I mean, and you're paying him $42 million. I mean, I would do it. The Steelers aren't going to do it. They wouldn't even come close to doing this. They wouldn't have any interest in doing it. But I would say yes. I would say yes to doing this. If this was Madden and somebody said this is, but I don't want that to go away from Alex Highsmith. Like, I think Alex Highsmith would be the reason that you don't have to give up a first-round pick for Micah Parsons because he's also a stud. Like, you're giving up a stud. Alex Highsmith he's not TJ Watt, but he's a great number 2 outside linebacker. He's probably the best number 2 outside linebacker you could ask for in the NFL. You'd be losing something in Alex Highsmith to give him up, but you'd obviously be getting something in Micah Parsons or in return, so it would work out, and he's younger. Like, yeah, the answer is yes. It stinks because I like Alex Highsmith. I don't want it to be yes, but yeah. The answer is yes. Maddie, one more time. Who do you think will play in the preseason? Do you think first string should at least take a few reps? Yeah, the first team's gonna. Even Aaron Rodgers is gonna take a series in the preseason. I would imagine Mason starts the first game. Will's the backup. Skylar's the third. Then in the next game, you get Aaron and the starters out there for the first reps. And then after that, everybody else, it's the second string and so on and so forth. And then the third one, I would guess Will Howard starts. Like the third one, I guess Will Howard starts in. How good they look, we'll see. But that's what I anticipate happening for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just going through here, making sure I don't miss anybody as we keeping it trucking. What grade would you give each position? Man, this is detailed. Quarterback, I'd give performance-wise at training camp, we're going to go for this. Quarterback, I'd give a C. I think they've looked very underwhelming. Running back, I'd give a C. I think they've looked very underwhelming. Offensive line, I'd give a D. Crazy underwhelming. Tight ends, I'd give a B+. I think they look pretty good. To be honest, I think they look very good. Like, very good. Wide receiver, I'd give a B-. Like, I think DK's got moments. I think that's about it, though. And Scotty Miller carrying the show, which is awesome. On defense, defensive line, I'd give an A. They look unbelievable. Linebackers, I'd give a B. I think they look crazy good. Corners, I'd give an A. They look ridiculous. Like, the starting cornerback room looks ridiculous. And safety, I'd give a B. Like, I think Deshaun Elliott and Juan Thornhill and Chuck Clark are looking good. They give up some plays every now and then, but I think that I think they look really, really good. David jumping on here once again. Not a hater, but would you agree Micah is a bit overrated? Not a top 5 edge rusher, in my opinion. No, I strongly disagree with this, actually. I think that Micah Parsons is unbelievable. I mean, he's one of 2 players ever with Reggie White to have a dozen sacks in each of his starting seasons. I think Myles Garrett's overrated. I think Myles Garrett's ridiculously overrated. But I think Micah Parsons is a guy who makes such a huge impact on such an atrocious defense. Like, Dallas's defense stinks. It is not very good. And it's almost all Micah. Plus you have just the circus that is the Dallas Cowboys. So I would say I disagree with this one. I think I think he's crazy and in a better system, especially if he's not the guy. You go to Pittsburgh, Micah, TJ, all eyes are still on TJ always. That'd be the wildest thing is, Micah Parsons has said some things multiple times about TJ Watt not being that good. And I think that's a conversation that we'd have to have about if he'd actually end up in Pittsburgh. Maddie, we already went through this one. Maddie, it's been a while. Give me a few hot takes. Oh, man. Hot takes. I think, okay, here's a couple of hot takes, and they might not be that hot. I'd trade Roman Wilson for a wide receiver where we sit here today. I just don't think that he's doing anything for me to say that he is a key piece to this offense, and I think you need a key piece to this offense. I think if he doesn't change anything soon, to me, that's a decision that you have to make, and I think I'd make it. I don't know. I don't think the offense looks very good, but I don't think that's a hot take, to be honest. I think the Steelers have the best defense in football. That's probably a hot take, but I truly think that they do. I don't think TJ Watt's even come close to saying anything. Maybe this isn't a hot take either, but I think it's already at the point where it's time to start giving up on Broderick and looking for another alternative here. And maybe Darnell Washington is that alternative. I truly think that that's an option. Those would be my hot takes right now. I'm sure there's more. But those would be my big ones where we stand today. Luke, do you think Terry McLaurin will be traded? Yes. Yeah, I truly do. I don't know. It's like the DK thing to me. Like, if you're gonna pay him, just pay him. But if you're not gonna pay him, move on. Like, that's the thing. He's not going to take anything less. He's not going to let this thing go. So I think somehow, some way he ends up getting a contract. Maybe it's with Washington. Maybe it's another team. It depends. You know what I mean? It depends on who's calling. I don't know who's calling. With DK, I heard teams were calling. With Terry, I haven't heard much. So I don't know if it's the time of year and things are just slowing down or what, but where we sit today, I just know he's going to get paid. With who? That's still very much so out in the open. MIT Mac. Who would we go for if we traded for a tackle? That's like, everybody wants to know this question. I don't know if I have an answer to it. Like, there's just nobody on the block that like a starting left tackle who's given up their starting left tackle at the end of training camp. Nobody, not a single team is giving up their starting left tackle. You're going after a backup that you hope is a starter, and even then, chances you're not going to get somebody good. So I truly don't think the Steelers would trade for somebody. I think that they would go out and sign a veteran, like an older veteran, plug him in for the year and hope that it happens. I really think that that's where they would go. I don't think you'd be able to trade for one right now. Jermaine White, who I didn't mean to ignore you there, brother. I'm serious. I'm going through them one at a time here. Simmons would have been better. Do we know what he said, or did the Steelers reach out to him? I don't know if the Steelers did reach out to him. He was looking for a contender. To be honest with you, I bet you it comes down to role and money. I bet you they like Juan Thornhill. They don't have huge plans for their free safety position. And I mean, at that point, you're just looking for a backup. Chuck Clark is a good backup. So I think that's what happened with Justin Simmons is it was more opportunity, and this maybe didn't fit what the Steelers' opportunity looked like. There are a lot of plays in this defense where there is only one safety, and that is Deshaun Elliott. So to me, I think it's opportunity. It's what the position was, and I just don't think Justin Simmons was fitting that at the time. I'll answer your other one here. What is going on with Roman? Is he not getting the playbook? He has no fight in him, can't get open, can't read the defense, doesn't block. Steelers rarely miss on drafting wide receivers. Talent-wise, anyways, yeah, sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss. They are pretty good, pretty consistent at finding these guys, especially in the second, third round. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. I truly don't. I think he's a third round pick that maybe only has third round talent right now where we sit, and he makes some plays, yeah, but he's not the best route runner. And I think that's hurting him. Like, to be honest, I think that's the biggest thing is it's not his hands. It's not his fight. He's very locked in. He's just not making plays. And when you're not making plays, like it's got to come down to you not being open. And right now he's just not open. I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to Roman Wilson. All right, keeping it going here. Have we seen any reps from Mark Robinson against Darnell Washington? No. So in the backs on backers, it'll be outside linebackers versus tight ends, and then inside linebackers versus running backs. And Mark Rob goes against the running backs. So that's what's happening right now. Yeah, it would be awesome. It would definitely be. Mark Rob is the king of backs on backers. It's so crazy how much he's the king of backs on backers. I've watched this man. I'll tell you the John Lovett story for those of you who haven't heard me say this 400 times. John Lovett showed up from Penn State here as I think it was like second-year guy, undrafted guy, whatever. Signs in the morning of pads. He comes out here. Landon Roberts goes up against John Lovett, destroys him. Next rep, Mark Robinson goes up against John Lovett, destroys him. John Lovett's never seen again in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. He doesn't play another snap in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. 8 months into the season, not 8 months, that's ridiculous. 2 months into the season, I'm talking to two guys, I won't tell names, but two guys in the locker room, two players in the locker room, and they are talking about the guy from Penn State who got absolutely murdered by Mark Robb and Landon Roberts. That's how bad it was. This guy is a stud, man. He is definitely a stud. I mean, I honestly, I came in here thinking he's not going to make the team. I truly think he's going to make the team now. I don't think Carson Bruner's looked very good. And I'd probably go I'd probably go Mark Robb over Carson Bruner for that final spot. Maddie, what would you give up for Terry? I'd give up a second round pick. I'd give up a second in Roman Wilson, to be honest. I would. I think that fits the bill. I would give up a second and Roman Wilson for Terry McLaurin. And I feel pretty good about that. I really would. How's Jack Sawyer looking? Really good. Jack Sawyer looks crazy good. Jack Sawyer looks so much bigger than I anticipated him being. He looks fast. He looks super physical. I kind of want to see him go through guys a little bit more because he is so physical, and I think he's got so much strength. But I'm a big fan of what I'm seeing from Jack Sawyer so far. He's taking a lot of reps. I think he's in a 4-man rotation that's going to stick throughout the season. So I kind of really like what I'm seeing from Jack Sawyer so far. Tortellini Salad, just want to say what's good, guys. We touched on the Chris Halleck situation going on. Lucid Music, hey, no, your sticker story from last name, I'm afraid, was not me. I live in Harrisburg, PA. Hope one day I can have my own sticker over there. Do you think Roman will get better, or is this it? Man, I wish it was. That would have been awesome. Still appreciate you if I'm ever in Harrisburg, which I got plenty of family over there that hopefully got stickers going on by then, because that's my one thing. I collect lighters and stickers. Anywhere I'm going, if you got a cool lighter or a cool sticker, you never know when you're going to need either of them, and I'm always about it. Roman Wilson, I want to say he could get better. I do. I'm not going to give you guys false hope. I'm not going to sit here and say that like he's got all this crazy potential and the Steelers just got to give him time or what. I'm not going to say any of that. I'm going to be really honest with you guys. And really honestly, he's shown not much in 2 weeks. I don't know if that's going to get better. I just don't. I want to say it will. I want to say this isn't the end. I've seen guys improve. It's the route running. Like, can you get better on the route running? If you could, you got hands, you're physical, you're good at blocking. Will it get better? I don't know. I truly don't. Like, I don't have an answer for you just because, like, I want to say yes, but he hasn't taken any steps forward. So until we see those, like, I don't know what to tell. I don't know what to say. I don't know the report to give because it's not good. Daniel, how is Will Howard's arm? Is it NFL? What's the furthest air yards you've seen him throw? Man, I don't know. I've seen him throw a couple like 40-yard bombs, 45-yard bombs, something like that. I think Will's arm looks pretty fine. You know, like he's working on it quite a bit, which is great. I love that he acknowledges that his arm strength is his biggest question mark. Will it work? Will he, have that arm strength to be able to compete in games? We'll see in the preseason, and I'm excited to see him in the preseason. He looked good for the last 2 days. Today didn't look so sharp, but again, today it was like nobody was really there. Like, it was weird. Even being here, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's a weird, like, there might be 15 people on this campus right now. It's a strange training camp day for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I just felt like there wasn't like that energy, that oomph that the Steelers have had. So I'm judging the last 2 days more than today, and Will's look good. And he's certainly, he actually told us that he is really focused on making sure every single throw shows all of his power. And I think that's a good place to start on improving it. How old is Scotty Miller? I want to say he's 29 years old. We'll look it up now. Scotty Miller, NFL, 5'9". That stinks because I'm 5'8", and I thought I was taller than Scotty Miller. He's 28 years old. Just turned 28 actually a couple of days ago. Happy birthday to Scotty Miller. I think he's got some sort of shot somewhere to make some noise in Pittsburgh. How's Rock Taylor looking? Actually pretty good the last couple of days. Like, Rock's made some plays. He's come onto the scene strong. I'm a fan of Rock Taylor. Like I wasn't a fan of, and not that I wasn't a fan, but you guys, everybody kept asking like Rock Taylor, Rock Taylor, Rock Taylor, and I just kept saying like, there's nothing to tell you guys about Rock Taylor because he's not doing anything. He's doing a lot since the pads come on. Since the pads have come on, Rock Taylor has really looked impressive and has had a couple of plays. I don't think he's like starting wide receiver good, but I think he's definitely competing for, if not a roster spot, a special team spot, a preseason star spot, like something like that. But he's looked good. Again, he had a play today. He cut it to the outside on one-on-one, then came to the inside for a slant. It was so impressive. Zach Ghazzani came sprinting out of the field before the ball even went in his hands, giving him a hug. It was crazy. Those are awesome moments to see. I'm a big fan of Rock Taylor the last couple of days. Not open, or is defense just locking him down? No, he's not open. Like if we're talking about Roman Wilson, he's just not open. He's not playing with the first team. So it's not like he's out here going up against Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay. He's going up against Corey Trice and James Pierre and Brandon Eccles, and he has to beat those guys. Like if you're getting locked up by those guys, it's on you. So no, it's not. It's actually not. Like that's the argument for Calvin Austin. That's the argument for DK at times. It's not the argument for Roman Wilson. He's not taking first team reps anymore. He's taking strictly second team reps, sometimes third team reps, depending on who's out there. He takes maybe 2 or 3 first team reps a day, but that's about it. It used to be a lot more. But no, it's not the defense locking him up. The next of kin, we have some quality depth at defensive tackle. Might have to move someone to get more talent on offense. I think that's an option. The problem is you don't really have anybody like Isaiah Loudermilk's not worth anything. Daniel Iguale is not worth anything. Maybe you're trading Nick Herbig, but I think that's a mistake too. Besides, like, you're not trading Keanu Benton. He's a starter. You're not trading Derek Harmon. You're not trading Y.E. Black. I just don't think that they have good depth at defensive tackle, but you'd have to stack a boatload of pieces to be able to come out here and say this matches up with whoever, like this matches up with a Roman Wilson involved in a deal, or a Calvin Austin involved in a deal, or a Darnell Washington involved in a deal, something like that. I just don't think I think you'd have to add a couple to make it the same. Joseph, Terry not coming here. He wants to be wide receiver 1 and wants wide receiver 1 money. Sorry for the letdown, but Scary Terry will not be a Steeler. I do think the Pittsburgh Steelers could afford him, to be honest. I do. I think if you were on a 2-year deal, you could sign him, and you have massive question marks there. But if they want to do it, they could. Now, would I? No, I'm not paying 2 wide receiver 1 money. I'm finding another option, but I think you could afford him. I really do. But I'm with you. I don't think Scary Terry is going to end up a Pittsburgh Steeler. Slim, hey, no, did anybody surprise you on offense or defense so far in camp? Yeah, James Pierre and Scotty Miller. They're the ones that have had some crazy 48 hours here in Latrobe. Scotty Miller's had himself one hell of a camp, to be honest. He is the most impressive wide receiver on the Pittsburgh Steelers right now outside of DK Metcalf. That's not an exaggeration at all. And James Pierre has picked off like 5 balls in the last 2 days, which is definitely impressive. Darnell Washington would be the real answer here, though. Darnell's looked really good. He looks a lot smoother running routes. I'm a big fan of what he's done in terms of just developing his route running and his ability to catch the football and getting open and finding the holes in the zone, that kind of stuff. He's not really relying on just being this massive guy anymore. He's kind of looking at it like, how do I play tight end? I like that. I would say Darnell. On defense, oh man, who surprised me on defense? Peyton Wilson looks really natural. He looks a lot better from last year. I was watching him like heavily last night and just going, man, this guy, he looks way better than he looked last time we were out here in Latrobe. Who else? Derek Harmon. Y.E. Black's come onto the scene quite a bit in the last 2 days, and I think that's a name to watch. He looks good. He looks physical. He looks strong. I like Y.E. Black as my other one here. with Sawyer looking really good, can you see Watt's load getting managed better so he can stay fresher at the back end of the season? Yeah, I do. I see the Steelers utilizing all four of their outside linebackers quite a bit, just like their defensive line. Like I see Cam coming off the field a lot this season, just so that they could keep themselves fresh. That's why you have depth to utilize it. You know, you don't have to have these stars who are exhausted by the end of the year. This isn't the New York Knicks offense. Put your guys on the bench, give them some rest. TJ goes 140 miles an hour when he's on the field. It's okay to take a break. So yeah, I do think that's huge. And I think Sawyer is going to be able to man that. Like I'm a big fan of Jack Sawyer and what he brings to the team. Hey, no, the way you describe Roman is kind of sounds like Juju. Juju wasn't a great route runner. We schemed him open in the slot. Do you think Smith will come up with something for him? He has hands. I want to say maybe. Juju wasn't the best route runner either. I agree with that. Juju understood how to get open, though. You know, I think that's the biggest difference is Juju knew from the jump, like, hey, I know how to get here, you know, and I don't think Roman has that instinct yet. I hope he gets it, but I don't think he does. But again, like he's got to prove himself because right now he's losing reps. That's the thing. That's the thing with the Steelers is Juju was involved in the offense. Roman's becoming less and less involved in the offense, which is not good for anybody scheming him open. It's kind of looking like he's just not going to play. Do we go get Deontay Johnson and bring him back to the wide receiver room? I think Deontay Johnson would be so perfect for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he's in Cleveland and he's going to start for the Cleveland Browns. But he would be so perfect in this offense. Like, they made such a mistake letting him go and not George, because if Deontay's still here, he's half the trouble that George was, and he fits perfectly in what the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for in another wide receiver. It would just make too much sense. Brendan, do you think they'll be forced to line Mount Washington up on the there goes the lights. Up on the left for basically every play if Broderick doesn't turn it around? I want to say yes. Like, I want to say that when it comes to the offensive line, they're going to have to utilize Darnell Washington. Hope you guys like the little conference room that I've been doing the pod in here, by the way. That they're going to have to utilize Darnell Washington quite a bit to kind of help. To be honest with you, like I like Darnell Washington and the idea of him just being out there on the field, whether it's, I think he could play left tackle and tight end, and that's crazy to say, but I kind of like that because he just looks really natural at both positions, and I think it's good. TD, did Calvin Anderson hurt his knee, and any news on that? Calvin Anderson, from my understanding, it's a soft tissue, possibly an oblique. Don't know the exact. Mike Tomlin described it today as more than day today, which is not ideal for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But it's going to give Dylan Cook a lot of looks. Scotty's a Super Bowl winner. He is a Super Bowl winner. Love it. Noah, can we keep it 100 right now without a number two? We aren't going to make it far, man. We really need a number two. I do think the Steelers need a number two wide receiver. I think right now, like my thing is that the Steelers defense is so good that they're going to get them places, but their offense is not good to a degree where they're going to hurt them. So you gotta find that middle ground with the offense. And I do think a number two is very, very needed. Do the Steelers not value a wide receiver two because they feel like last year, if DK gets hurt, we are in trouble? They wait too long and bring in Mike Williams and not pay him. I think the Steelers are slowly learning that their expectations for Roman and Calvin are not living up to what they hoped. So it's not that they don't value it. I think they had higher hopes. It's not. I just don't think they're seeing clearly it's not working. Your take on Darnell Washington did not age well. He seems like the least likely to be traded. Yeah, I agree. But there's the thing is, once again, and I know that, what I say is not what comes across, but, when it comes to when it comes to Darnell, like I just thought it made the most sense. Like I thought if the Steelers were going to have anybody who holds trade value, it was Darnell. And I still think that's true, but I would not trade him at all. Like if you need a tackle at some point this season, Darnell's got to be your guy, not Dylan Cook. It's got to be Darnell Washington. No, how are the training camp cookies treating you? It's not even the cookies this year, dude. It's the ice cream. It's the Millie's ice cream all day, every day. Who does that to somebody? Who does that? Who goes, hey, guys, we're going to have all these healthy options. But when you turn around, okay, the moment you turn around, you're going to stare at an ice cream bar from Millie's ice cream. It's criminal, to be honest. Shout out to Latrobe and to St. Vincent College because they feed you damn good up here. But man, it's the ice cream, dude. It's the ice cream. It's killing me. It's killing me. And honestly, I'm feeling pretty good because I'm sweating so much out there. I'm burning calories. But it's counterintuitive. It's not great. It's not great. Do you think the Steelers will sign another wide receiver or wait till the draft? I do think a wide receiver is coming. I don't know when, but I do think the Steelers have some interest in a wide receiver. Would you say if Terry came, he'd be wide receiver 1 over DK? Obviously more of a 1A, 1B, but I'd take Terry. It'd be like Jalen Ramsey showing up with Darius Slay and Joey Porter here. Neither of them are leaving the field. There would not be a wide receiver 1 to wide receiver 2. It would be these two players are on the field every single play, no matter what. They do not come off. And, from there, you could describe them however you want, but it would be like, I hear you. It obviously be a 1A, 1B, like you said. Neither of them would ever come off the field. Are the Saints still in cap hell? Yes, very much so, and it's getting worse by the day. Again, I think at some point they're going to look at it and go, Chris Olave, it has to go because we need the draft pick. I really do. Saw something about Jonnu and JPJ getting suspended for 4 games. Is that factual? I have not heard, and maybe I'm just missing the mark here, but I do not think that is the case at all, to be honest. Don't know where that came from, but the answer would be no. And we're going to finish it off with good old Dustin. Are there any UFAs making noise on any other teams at camp that we can maybe snag up off a roster that doesn't have room on the 53-man roster? Man, dude, I wish I had an answer for you. I do, but I have zero idea. During training camp, the only time I see NFL news outside of the Pittsburgh Steelers is when I am laying in bed at 2 a.m, finally going to bed, scrolling my phone on Twitter. Like, that's it. You talk to very few people throughout this time of year outside of the Pittsburgh Steelers and those here and your sources here. You're just so locked in. Like, I leave here probably about 7 p.m. I get here at about 10 a.m. I get home, you don't see much. So I don't have names for you. I wish I did. I'll try to look, but I don't know. It'd have to be a pretty impressive UDFA, to be honest, to be able to come in here and make some noise. This is a great question, though. Do the Saints have any good left tackles? Also don't know that one. But I think Chris Olave, like you say here, can we get Chris and a left tackle? Trevor Penning's over there, I'm pretty sure still, but no, he's in Chicago. What am I saying? But I don't know who's on the trade block. I really don't. All right, well, we actually will finish off with this one. Who's the most surprising player in camp so far? Who's the most surprising player in camp so far? That's a great question. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's Jalen Ramsey. I do. I think it's Jalen Ramsey. I think he is so crazy good. Like, he's the most impressive player on the field right now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's not even remotely close. Like, there is such a significant gap between Jalen and everybody else. He's fast, explosive, all over the ball. Yeah, it's definitely Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey is crazy. It was nice meeting you today. Still looking for that merch. Make sure that you hit me up with that email. Like I said, it was good. It was good meeting you guys too. It was good meeting everybody out there today. That was awesome. I'm glad that Kaboom was with me as well, as always. And Dustin, appreciate the grind. Thank you. All right, I think with that, I've answered everything. Oh, we'll dive into this one. Last question. Do you think Rodgers has any input on left tackle or wide receiver 2, or is he trying to stay out of roster management with the Steelers, unlike his stints with the Jets, Tyrone Smith and Bakhtiari available? I don't think Tyrone Smith is an option for the Steelers. Maybe, but I don't think so. David Bakhtiari, possibly. I think the Steelers would look at Aaron and say, do you have anybody that you would recommend? But I don't think that would make their final decision. I don't think that Aaron actually wants that, like he's had it in the past. The big thing here is that Aaron is a different quarterback with a different mindset and a different role here than he's had in New York. And I think that's what makes him special, or made Pittsburgh special in the recruiting process, was that they don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, they're coming in here. Aaron's here to be their quarterback, not their savior. And with that, I think he'll have some input, but I think the Jets did everything they could to cater to this guy. The Steelers aren't going to do the same. All right. And with that, Ryan or Ramsick. I don't know if he's available. Or maybe he retired. I think he retired. Did he not retire? I think he retired. We're looking him up. Ryan, if he did retire, which I think he did. I want to say he retired. If he's out there and he wants to come, sure, why not? But I don't know. You'd have to take some convincing, and you'd have to see how skinny he got in a year, because offensive linemen get real skinny real fast after leaving the NFL. All right, y'all. With that said, I'm heading out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to a Saturday episode of All Steelers Talk live from St. Vincent College here at Pittsburgh Steelers training camp. I'll be back tomorrow with Jacob. We'll be live here once again to finish off week 2 of Pittsburgh Steelers training camp. In the meantime, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all my work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. And with that said, enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.